This dog was only hours from being swept into the sea when a flying sausage saved her life. Millie the Jack Russell Terrier mix had slipped out of her harness on a walk, and she ended up trapped on dangerous tidal flats in southern England. The spot she was in floods completely every few days, and she'd already been stranded there for 2, with the tide actively rising, threatening to wash her away. Firefighters, police, Coast Guard, and drone teams were all called in, but nobody could reach her. The mud was so deep that any person trying to get across would sink waist deep, and Millie was only able to make it out there because she's so small and light. So with the clock ticking, a volunteer had one last idea: tie a sausage to a drone and try to lure her out. A neighbor quickly cooked one up, tied it to a drone, and sent their savory little rescue aircraft over to Millie. She sniffed the air, locked in on the flying sausage, and then started following it step by step to higher ground. At one point, she jumped up and snagged half of it, almost taking the drone down with her, but the sausage copter held strong. Soon she was successfully reunited with family and free to finish the rest of her rescue snack without interference. Home safe and sound, Millie probably still dreams of floating sausages and likely keeps one eye on the sky just in case. A Florida cat escaped the vet's office and ran nearly 3 miles home because he'd decided he'd been there long enough. George had just undergone a routine procedure and he was still groggy from anesthesia, napping peacefully in his kennel. But as he started waking up, he apparently decided someone else could handle the paperwork and he had better places to be. This cat clearly runs on his own timeline, so he somehow popped open the latched kennel, slipped outside, and scaled multiple 8-foot fences to disappear into the woods behind the building. Staff saw him bolting and they tried to chase him, but George already had other plans that were underway. Unfortunately though, George hasn't yet learned how to use a cell phone, so he wasn't able to call his human Bob and let him know that he had everything under control. So with no idea where George had gone, Bob was heartbroken. He and the staff members spent nearly a week searching, but George was busy following his inner GPS. And 6 days later, Bob walked outside and found George sitting on a chair out front like nothing had happened. To get there, George had traveled at least 2.7 miles. He navigated several neighborhoods and he didn't even have his compass or a map on him at the time. Bob was over the moon to reunite with his buddy, but he did say that if he had been stuck at the vet, he would have just called an Uber. When this hard-working bodega cat was stolen from his place of work in Brooklyn, the entire neighborhood was heartbroken. But soon, the whole ordeal became a reason for a cat-themed block party. Snowy the cat is more than just a store manager to locals. He's considered family, always ready to greet regulars with a purr and a head scratch request. So when surveillance footage showed a stranger walking off with him one night, it felt like a gut punch to the entire block. Snowy's co-manager and store owner, Ali, said he didn't sleep for days. His kids helped him hang flyers, and the whole neighborhood checked local stores, posted in group chats, and just hoped that somebody would recognize Snowy's fluffy face. And after about 2 weeks, someone finally did. That anonymous person didn't want recognition or any reward. They just said they saw Snowy on the news, knew where he was, and quietly returned him to his home. To celebrate his return, Ali threw a full-on reunion block party for everyone's favorite employee, complete with custom Snowy-themed treats. And it was, of course, a major success. Snowy is now back to work as store manager with a new AirTag, a new closed door policy for the store to keep him safely inside, and a whole neighborhood keeping an extra close eye on him.